What's up guys, it's Will back again, and today's review is The Birth of a Nation. The Birth of a Nation is a biographical drama film that was written and directed by Nate Parker and is sort of an adaptation of the original Birth of a Nation film released back in 1915. Well, The Birth of a Nation takes place in Southampton County, Virginia around the year 1831, where a literate slave by the name of Nat Turner, played by Nate Parker, begins preaching to other slaves nearby in an attempt to calm them down and follow their master's orders. Nat is forced to do this by his owner, Mr. Samuel Turner, played by Armie Hammer, in order to bring in extra money for the family farm, and eventually Nat builds a rapport with these slaves he preaches to. Well, Nat continues to preach and live out his days as a slave until eventually he hits a breaking point. He sees atrocity after atrocity committed against his fellow slaves, and eventually he can no longer stand idly by simply watching these terrible events occur over and over again. He eventually forms and leads a rebellion against slave owners in the Virginia area, and the rest of the film is spent watching Nat and his fellow slaves rise up and fight the institution of slavery head on. Okay, so I went into this film with pretty high expectations, considering I was seeing a lot of people's early Oscar predictions penciling this film in as a Best Picture nominee at the very least. But when I watched the trailers, I came away with the impression that this would be a good film, but not a great one. And look, it's inevitable that this film is gonna get compared to the Best Picture winner from 2014, 12 Years a Slave. While I don't think The Birth of a Nation is as good as 12 Years a Slave, I do still believe it is a great film. There's a ton to like about this movie, but I think the aspect that impressed me more than anything else was the cinematography. The cinematography in this film is legitimately next level stuff. It's that good. There are a ton of very nice looking and artistic shots present in this film that were just insanely good. There's landscape shots to give you an idea of the environments in which our story takes place, and there's a ton of really dramatic looking ones as well that had me literally saying out loud, wow, that's a hell of a shot. I also really love the acting in this film. There's several characters present in this story, but I believe the big four you need to know about are Nat Turner, played by Nate Parker, Samuel Turner, Nat's owner, played by Armie Hammer, Hart Turner, a fellow slave of the Turner plantation, played by Colman Domingo, and Sherry, Nat's wife, played by Aunjanue King. Let's start with our leading man in Nat Turner. I thought Nate Parker did an amazing job in this role, and I'd be thoroughly surprised if he didn't get nominated for Best Lead Actor. He showed me all the emotion that I needed to see from Nat, and I was incredibly invested in his character from beginning to end. This was one of the better performances I've seen this year because Nate Parker was able to capture that raw emotion and distress that a slave living in 1831 Virginia would likely feel. Armie Hammer also did a nice job as Samuel Turner. He's a slave owner, so you're gonna hate him pretty much no matter what, but he still was an interesting character that served his purpose. Colman Domingo as slave Hart Turner really shined in this movie for me. I thought he did a really nice job in limited screen time, and I also really enjoyed Aunjanue King as Sherry, Nat's wife. They both were exceptional in this film. Okay, so let's transition to the actual subject matter of the film. Now, this is an R-rated movie, and there's a lot of very, very brutal imagery present here, meaning that it's not going to be for everyone. This film attempts to paint the evil of slavery in a realistic fashion, and therefore it doesn't pull any punches in the process, and I loved it for that. You see some pretty twisted things being done to slaves who are being punished for disobeying their owners in some way, shape, or form, and while this imagery is incredibly brutal, it does make for some incredible drama and obviously increases that immersion factor that I always discuss. You can sink yourself right into this story and feel like you're right there watching these terrible acts being committed, but at the same time you and the characters are helpless, and that's brilliant storytelling because it makes you feel something, albeit something terrible. I really enjoyed the music in this film as well. The way that it was meticulously placed in specific scenes really enhanced the drama or excitement of the on-screen action and left me feeling exactly what the filmmakers intended for me to feel at that specific time. It all worked flawlessly. So I'm going to attempt to dive a little bit deeper here because during my pre-production research of this film, I noticed there was some controversy surrounding the film's content and its director and lead actor Nate Parker. It seems some are upset by Parker's portrayal of Nat Turner as a straightforward righteous hero because some historians believe that he was a rather complex figure in regards to his morality and decision making. I'll just say that as I've referenced before, I was a history major at one point in college, but I don't think I ever studied Nat Turner and his rebellion, so I can't necessarily comment on the accuracy of this film's portrayal of him. What I can say is that he's not really a morally complex figure in this film. Everything that he does I had no problem with whatsoever because while he does condone murder, it seems pretty reasonable considering he and his friends and loved ones are being enslaved. Historical accuracy aside, I think that the filmmakers could have gone a little bit more in depth into our characters' backstories and overall psyche, and this includes Nat. The film is spent almost entirely with Nat, and I didn't feel like I knew enough about him at certain moments. You get to see why he makes certain decisions and eventually reaches a breaking point, but I can't say I completely 100% knew his character or any of the other characters for that matter. There's also controversy surrounding Nate Parker because he was accused and later acquitted of rape charges back in 1999 while he was a student at Penn State, and some are upset about his handling of the topic of rape in The Birth of a Nation. There are rape scenes in this film, and I'm not going to tell you the context for their occurrences, but I will say that they are brutally depicted. The reason I'm bringing these things up is because this is a controversial film simply by its very nature and subject matter, and these clouds surrounding the film are going to affect how people perceive it and its quality. I think I have an obligation to let you know about these issues surrounding the film because I want you to be able to decide for yourself whether you feel this criticism is fair or not. Reviews affect whether or not people spend their hard-earned money to go see a film, and there's a good chance that people might boycott this film for various reasons, and I want to give you as much information as I can so you can make an informed decision for yourself. But overall, I thought The Birth of a Nation had a very brutal, dramatic, and grounded story, fantastic acting, amazing cinematography, and great use of music. The only knock I can put on the film is that I think the characters can be a tad bit underdeveloped at times. I'm going to give The Birth of a Nation a 9.5 out of 10 and recommend that you go see this one in theaters ASAP as long as you can handle the brutal imagery. So did you guys see The Birth of a Nation yet? What did you think of it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if not, let me know whether you'd be interested in watching this film or not. And as always, if you like this video, click that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for much more content like this. That's all for now though. This is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next review.